on their silver anniversary and 25 years on the air in Iowa, being the home of sports talk radio.
We're giving you a chance to experience everything Circa has to offer with a trip along with your favorite KXNO personalities.
The next KXNO Silver Ticket Tour will bring you to Las Vegas and Circa for 4 days, 3 nights. Go to KXNO.com to sign up and have a chance to experience Circa with KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
And we hope to see you soon at Circa.
Live from the TNT Landscaping and Nursery Studios, you're listening to 106.3 KXNO. Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network and 106.3 KXNO.
Good afternoon and welcome in. Miller and Condon on the air with you as we talk to you on a Wednesday about the world of sports. Thanks for joining us here today as we break things down. Trying to break my shoulder off here and feel a little bit better after yesterday's rough performance. Got Nick Marovets with us once again. Nick, good to see you. Good to talk to you. How are you?
Good to see you. The arm isn't up in the air, so that's good news. How'd the second hour go? Did you find some solace and get it, appeased a little bit?
Yeah, we were okay. We battled through yesterday, so still felt it throughout the course of the day and into the evening. Got a little lucky last night as my little guy did not have baseball. The fields were too wet, so didn't have to worry about that. Was able to spend some time at home rehabbing, taking all kinds of concoctions, trying to make it right. Got some icy hot on it. That alleviated for a little bit, and then the pain just went lower, basically below the spot that the shoulder injury was, but still feel it in there. It is better today. I don't believe I'm going to have to put my hand above my head all day, at least today. So still feel it in there, but we are on the mend and we are making our way right. And then I took a old muscle relaxer that I had last night before bed. And I'll tell you, waking up very, very groggy this morning. It was a battle to get up, but we are ready. We're pounded through here. Nick's going to hang out with us here today. Nick Marovets from Locked On Cyclones will be here for hour number 1. Hour number 2 coming up on the guest list. We have Eliot Clough. We'll talk some Hawkeyes with Eliot from HawkeyeInsider.com, and then get into some big topics in college football with Spencer McLaughlin, the future. And obviously, we talked a lot yesterday, Nick, about the comments from Jamie Pollard, the way that they was certainly played out. And boy, I've been just amazed at the national conversation that has grown out of this. Yes, we're looking for things locally to talk about, but Jamie Pollard's comments about the SEC and Big Ten want to break away, to paraphrase those comments from Monday, they've gone national. And hearing people from all walks of the college football ranks on a national scene take those comments, he's saying the part that we're all thinking out loud, but it's also the negative part that you get about it and the frustration certainly that is out there from some people, maybe the reality of what college football is going to at the future. But I was a little bit surprised just seeing how much national discourse has come from this.
Yeah, Jamie has those moments, where he gets in front of a mic that's not necessarily on like a podium, right, where it's not super professional, and he'll just throw out a comment, and then the entire internet somehow sees it. It kind of went back to when he was talking about how poor Iowa State was. Still don't love those comments. I feel like that's maybe a little too transparent. And then this one again, where it's like, all right, yeah, that's pretty typical Jamie. And then the entire internet says, whoa, are we? So they're not quite used to it. I feel like by now I've kind of gotten used to it, but Jamie definitely says what he's thinking more times than not.
It is something, and you've known nobody else other than Jamie Pollard as the athletic director, and you have lived in the good times, certainly of Cyclone athletics. So there's been other moments, but just the sustainability of the athletic department, what they've done. Years and years ago, there was a big boo about when he put the billboards up in Eastern Iowa, and that created obviously traction kind of when things were really starting to turn. I go back to when the Cy-Hawk rivalry really wasn't a rivalry, 15 consecutive victories, and what Dan McCarney and the football team did on that side, getting the win at Kinnick Stadium. And what it's been really ever since then, basically almost a coin flip year after year in that football game, coupled with the successes that we've seen from both men's and women's basketball. The wrestling program has certainly had moments throughout the years. And you just look through the athletic department, top to bottom, the track teams, the cross country teams, the successes there. He's done a good job overall and making Iowa State athletics something that definitely matters, not just in Story County, not just to Cyclone fans, but has resonated a whole lot more here across the state of Iowa.
Oh, even beyond, honestly, the state of Iowa. I feel like Iowa State was starting to make a push in football towards the end of Matt Campbell's tenure of maybe a national. Are they going to make the playoff? Are they going to win the Big 12? And then with basketball and what he did with bringing in Otts, I feel like that maybe is one of his best moves of all time. Maybe a little short-sighted, but I mean, the last 5 years have just been incredible. And Iowa State isn't, some team in the Big 12, they play a tough conference, whatever. Like this last year, there were very real conversations about could Iowa State win the national title? Like until Jefferson got hurt, it was kind of one of 6 to 8 teams, and Iowa State was very much in that conversation. So got to give credit to Jamie Pollard where it's due, but sometimes he just says stuff that it's like, dude, are we sure that was the best thing to say?
Yes, sometimes maybe those foot and mouth moments, but they're also the things that, and that's kind of the discourse that's been out there also. People know this is real. People know that this is a very real possibility. And it's not just, a summer segment on a radio show or filling out a podcast segment talking about what the future could look like, that this feels like it could become to fruition. And if it does, what that looks like, and if it blows up the whole structure of the NCAA and the way that goes. So there is a lot of conversation certainly to come out of that, but we thank Jamie Pollard for those kind of moments and helping us out a little bit to get some content out there. Kind of a newsy day yesterday also for Iowa State, as you have one of the incoming freshmen decommits and goes to UNLV. This one was a bit of a head scratcher, I thought. Jackson Kiss, who was a top 150 player nationally. Rivals had him ranked number 105, 24/7 at 116. Power forward, 6'7", 230, and a native of New Zealand. He decommits. You don't see this happening very often in May.
No, I'm curious what the reasoning is. I don't know if maybe Iowa State's eyeing some other commit that would push Jackson Kiss out of his, potential role. I'm kind of in the spot where, and maybe I'm kind of in the minority here, so you could push back here, but commitments anymore don't really mean what they used to. And so I don't get too bent out of shape about it, because remember when we were going to get Jet Tamala, and that was like a huge pickup, and wow, Iowa State's just dominating Nebraska. And then Iowa State, earning that recruitment, puts his name on the map, and Alabama says, you know what? I think we could find an extra $5 million in this back room here. How would you like, to play for Alabama? And then all of a sudden he's flipped over there. So obviously it's not the best feeling in the world to see a commitment flip. But I do wonder if there's a deeper reasoning here that we can still potentially see as a silver lining.
Speaking of those freshmen that are incoming, Christian Wiggins, Gray, and Ronaldo Comlin, those 3 players that are coming in, do you have a feeling? Do you have an anticipation? We know the 5 transfers that are coming in along with it, but do you have a feeling out of that group of guys that are coming in this year who you'd anticipate is going to get some run, get some playing time, and maybe the most likely out of that now group of 3 after being a group of 4 is going to come in here and get some minutes right away?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would probably go with Wiggins if I had to pick. I do like Yusuf Gray as well, but something about Wiggins and his play style, I'm leaning towards him potentially having a larger role, maybe at the shooting forward position. I don't know what Iowa State's going to look like for as far as shooters goes this upcoming year. I feel like they leaned a lot on Momcilovic. I think Bateman's going to take a step forward for sure, but I think Wiggins could be a big scoring option for Iowa State. And if nothing else, certainly be a guy that comes off the bench, kind of like what Bateman did this last year. Bateman didn't really rack up a ton of minutes and become like a predominant scoring option, but he had a few games where he went like 3 for 3 from 3. And I remember one specifically, I can't remember the opponent off the top of my head, but they kept him in late in the game. And I remember watching it saying, keep in Bateman. He's got the hot hand. Like Milan's a better shooter, yes, on the season, but he hasn't really been what Bateman has been this year. I wonder if Wiggins could take on a role similar to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at this squad again this season, they're going to play on the defensive end. You like the pieces, the way that they fit together. I'm with you. I was a huge Jamarian Bateman fan, and those minutes definitely increased at different times throughout the course of the season. A couple of times he didn't play much. Played against Oklahoma State just 2 minutes, 7 minutes in that loss against Cincinnati on the road. But as the season went on, you saw him out there pushing up towards 20 minutes a game for a lot of the different ones. And one thing you know about Jamarian Bateman, that guy is not shy. He's going to come in there and he's going to be chucking right away.
No, he will pull up from like 40 feet and you never know. Like sometimes it does go in. My favorite thing was this season, how the broadcasters would bring up almost every time he hit a 3. Hey, in high school, he had like 13 threes in a game one time. And it's nice to be reminded of that capability, because you might see a few shots where you say, what was that? why were we shooting that? But he's actually capable of hitting him. So it all pans out in the end.
Well, let's get into what we saw across the sports landscape last night. And after game 1 of the Western Conference Finals 2 nights ago, well, there's nothing that could top that. I don't know if it topped it, but boy, it was impressive at Madison Square Garden, down 22 in the fourth quarter. The Knicks come roaring back and get the victory in overtime. So back-to-back nights of overtime games in the NBA. And it felt like this is kind of what they needed to ignite things. There were so many blowouts. The NBA playoffs can turn into that so often. The series were not overly compelling. Yes, you got a game 7 that turned into a blowout with the Cavs the previous round. So I think the NBA definitely needed this. And now I'm locked back in. I am fired up for the game tonight. I'm fired up to just watch the rest of these conference finals. And last night, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, well, and to last night's point, I thought that was the rest versus rust situation. Remember when we were talking about that yesterday a little bit? Was it going to be the Knicks not sure where they were at starting the game kind of thing? Was Cleveland going to start out hot? I feel like it might have just taken a minute, and then the Knicks finally found that juice. They had the extra legs to make that push late into the fourth quarter and go on just a ridiculous run from down 22 to the victory in overtime where the Cavs only scored 3 points. And to your point about the game tonight, obviously Spurs, OKC, going to be an electric game no matter what, right? It's going to be fun. But it's the Chet versus Wemby rivalry that I think is it's really the highlight of this. And I think it's something we could see for a long time. I was reminded of them playing as USA versus France and just how upset Wemby got in that game, how fired up he gets. And you don't really see that a whole lot from him. It's kind of more mellow, more meditation kind of vibes from Wemby. So this rivalry really brings out the heat, and not only Wemby, but also in Chet. And it's top tier play from both players. We're really getting into the top, really exciting games to your point, and I can't wait to see how this all plays out between not only the Cavs and the Knicks, but also the Spurs and the Thunder.
I thought Mike Brown, Knicks coach, had a really good game last night, down by 22. Now, yes, with 7:49 left, a 99.9% chance that the Cavs were going to get the victory. Alas, that does not happen. And it feels like we have more of those than actually the 99.9%. I think those percentages are a little bit off. But regardless of that, as they said, we're going to go right after James Harden on the defensive end of the floor. And you saw that time in and time out. Brunson, it just felt like he had the ball in his hands like 7 minutes out of that 7:49 remaining. Yep. Ball was in his hands. He was going to make a play. He was going to go right after Harden. There's some questionable decisions, certainly on the Cleveland end. Harden had a 3 from the right wing, missed deep air ball that went out of bounds. Just so many of those moments throughout the course of the game. And, it's one thing that I wondered if James Harden, look, he's not the best player on the team. That's Mitchell. But, if he had a good finals, if they could upset the Knicks, if that was going to change the discourse just a little bit on James Harden, just overall in his career. But it went back to being James Harden again. And he's the GOAT once again in this game because of defense, just 5 of 16 shooting on top of that out of James Harden. Mitchell was great. And Mitchell is one of those guys that you're waiting for to take that final step, to take a team to the finals. I don't think it's happening now. You talk about a dispiriting loss last night, one that's going to cost you, I think, again. You definitely look at that one last night. I mean, you're already saying, all right, we went there, we got the split, and then you don't. It is almost devastating to come back from something like that.
Yeah, I want the Cavs to win. Like, I want to see the Cavs in the finals. Am I alone in that? Are you a big Knicks guy here?
I think I'd rather see New York. Just
really
storyline, Madison Square Garden. I don't like the Knicks. I've never been a Knicks fan or anything like that. It's just this team that's continued to build, taking those steps. Last year, having their heart ripped out of them by Indiana and Halliburton. I think that kind of goes hand in hand. It's difficult for me to wrap my arms around, I guess, this Cleveland team in the same way. So I guess I'm on the Knicks side. If I could choose, I'd rather see the Knicks in the finals.
I just like Donovan Mitchell. When he played for the Jazz, he was a fun player, and obviously the beard and Harden, it's never really felt like it's worked out. The trip to Brooklyn was supposed to be something, and it never really materialized. And I know that he's not very likable. I understand that, but there is something where it's like, he's so iconic. The step back, the triple, step back is so well known that I want to see him have some success. I don't know if Cleveland is just cursed and it doesn't matter who they bring in unless it's LeBron. Like, I don't know what it is, but I do want to see them get it done. I wonder if they can turn it around. I'm not in the same boat you are, saying that this loss is going to cost them again. I think they're still a good team. They're probably just a little tired coming off that game 7. I still give them a chance here, and I am really genuinely hoping. I would love to see Mitchell in the finals. I'd love to see Harden with a chance to bring home a ring.
That's Nick Marovets joining me here today. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. During the closing stretch, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, 1 of 10 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3, 3 points, 2 turnovers. That is not winning basketball. I mentioned Mike Brown and the decision. We're just going to go right after Harden on the defensive end of the floor. Love seeing that. On the other side, Kenny Atkinson, this is old school thinking, I guess. Yes, you want to hold your timeouts for the end, but when a team is going on that kind of scoring run, to not use your timeouts, to hold them for the end, I don't get it. I believe in that momentum stoppage that you can use. And in a game like that, where you're still in control, when you're still up, 10 points with a couple minutes to go, and to not use those timeouts, I thought that was just awful game management out of Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah, timeouts are interesting because hindsight's always 20/20. I'm not saying that you're wrong here, but you wonder what he was thinking in the moment, right? What was he holding on to them for? Sometimes there are just true blunders where it's like, yeah, that was a mistake. You really should have used it in that case. But I wonder, I hate to really criticize here because you go in and you talk to them and you're like, oh, this is what they were thinking. I guess I can kind of go down that line of thought. Didn't expect the Knicks to pull it all together the way that they did. Obviously, they didn't play that well the rest of the game. Maybe they assuming it was some sort of a streak. And I mean, you can't take them with you. So I do agree with you there, but I always look at the timeout situation unless it's glaringly obvious, which I do think this one was, but I do think you kind of got to give them a little bit of grace because you just never know what's going to happen. It's probably more prominent in football, but I'm not going to be too hard on them here.
Want to jump over to some baseball with you, Nick, and take a look at the Cubs last night. So PCA drops a fly ball after the weekend that was, where he's hooting and hollering with a bridal party over in the stands on the south side of Chicago against the White Sox. Misses a play there, and then we get the report that he has been fine for that interaction that he had with the fan. Just there's a lot there with Pete Crow Armstrong and getting a fine after the exchange with the fan. All right. I think we understand that was going to happen. You can definitely understand that part of it. PCA, though, his response left me scratching my head. This is what he said. Directly or indirectly, I don't think that any of the women in my life would think I would say those kinds of words regularly. I'm just bummed out that the word choice and a bunch of little kids going to social media and seeing that as well. Apologies are weird, are interesting, but still didn't love that response. I think that could have been certainly better from PCA side. Now, I'll admit, PCA, he just bothers me. He's not my kind of guy. He seems like somebody that would be not a fun hang for me, but that isn't what he is as a baseball player. Just the response on top of it. You knew this was going to be coming. You know you're going to be asked about it, and to have that kind of response, I don't know, was just a little bit head scratching to me.
Yeah, sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And sometimes it really is what you say. This one was a little bit kind of weird. It felt like he targeted, I mean, obviously the word choice is the most important thing here, in my opinion, saying that it wasn't really about confronting him. It was more about like how I said it. And so I can get behind that. Usually there's a better choice of words, especially in the heat of the moment. It's really easy to just let something right off the tongue, and it's not exactly what you meant, or doesn't come out exactly how you meant it. I do agree with you. This is kind of a weird way to put it. I'm glad that I didn't have to make this apology, though.
Right. Yes. I've said some things under my breath in the heat of battle and things like that. And maybe I talk a little trash. We also didn't play in front of tens of thousands of fans, so just a little bit different than what PCA is going through on that front. Last night on the field, it was all about Jacob Misiorowski. Once again, a tremendous performance out of him. 8 strikeouts. He looked absolutely dominant. He scattered just 3 hits in the game, and now the Brew Crew have overtaken the Cubs. Not only that, now the Cardinals are in front of them by a half game in the standings in the National League. It's 4 consecutive losses. Bats are starting to slow down a little bit. We've talked about so many of those Cubs injuries. I just hope that we have a fun race down, and I think we're definitely going to get that. Everybody's still 500 or better in the National League Central. Going to definitely be a great race. What else did I watch last night in baseball? Watched a little bit of my Twins. I don't know why I did it. Here's a story for you. And yeah, it's devastating. They lose 2-1 last night, but yesterday they had a host of moves, including sending down a guy that I thought was going to be an absolute star. I thought that Royce Lewis was going to be a multi-time All-Star. a guy maybe has a couple of years where he's in the top 5 or 10 of MVP conversation. He felt like that kind of guy. And ever since he came back a year ago from an injury, he's been awful. I think he's batted 136 in that time over a long group. Your starting catcher's also out as Ryan Jeffers goes down 6 to 8 weeks with a broken wrist. It's just one thing after another with this Twins team. I want to pose it this way, because you've rooted for some teams that have struggled at times. So I'm not going to name them individually, but when it's something like this, and baseball is different, right? Baseball is different. You got 162, but just the tune-out factor for me, it's happened much earlier than I hoped this season. They had a good week and a half stretch back earlier in the year that, all right, I'm going to watch a little bit more, but there's going to be times where I'll probably go 3, 4, 5 days without even watching the Twins now this summer, I'm sure, because there's so many other things going on. There's so much other activities that my kids have, and that's also a part of it too. But when you as a fan are going through a downturn, when you're going through that time where perhaps your team just aren't playing well, do you tune out? Do you just out of sight, out of mind? How do you deal with it as a fan?
Yeah, it's a tricky balance, because the one side of me wants to say, if you watch all the games where they stink, it's so much more rewarding when they're good, right? If they're like when the Patriots were really bad, and I understand that the Patriots conversation is probably going to upset some people. Why is this guy from, middle of Iowa rooting for the Patriots? I get it. All right. It's a long story, but there was a few years there where they stunk. And then this year when they were in the Super Bowl, did they deserve to be there? Well, they won the games in front of them. Were they the best team? I don't know. It wasn't really a very pretty game, but there was a lot of excitement going into that because I watched them stink for a while. Of course, it's a weird stretch and that's not the best example, but it is so easy to let a team that's just not playing well drift off the radar. You've got other things you want to watch. Maybe you had a movie that you were thinking about. I guess I'd probably rather watch this than this team who just consistently, lets me down. I try my best to stay consistent, even if it is just, at least the highlights, or kind of see what the team is composed of and how they're operating. If they're really hurting me bad over and over, I might not watch the whole thing. Some teams more than others. Are you a guy that you let it go and you check back in once? It sounds like you're really just kind of watching when they're good, which I don't know if I can let that slide here, TC.
No, not just when they're good, because I've watched a lot of bad baseball. And I've also been beaten down, certainly with the Twins part, by the organization. Finally have a glimmer of hope and success 3 years ago, win your first playoff series in 20 years, and then you tear it down. But no, I'm watching, but when it gets bad, then I really start to tune out. That's what it is for a team like that. Now, here's the other thing. The Twins are not the most important team in my life. For me, my favorite team is Iowa basketball. Iowa Hawkeye basketball is number 1. Iowa football is probably number 2, but it's Iowa basketball. And I'm not going to miss an Iowa basketball game. And it doesn't matter how bad they are. I am not going to miss any single one of those. You go back and you look at some of the downturns, some of the bad years. Look, I watched 90 Todd Licklider coach basketball games. So no, when it's that and it is the top of it, then I'm absolutely going to be there for each and every one. So maybe the Twins weren't the best example for that, but yeah, when I'm watching that slow pace coupled with no athleticism, coupled with not very good defense with Todd Licklider, I was there for every single one of those, at least every single one that was televised. So I guess that is different too. It depends on the team. There are certain teams I think that grab a hold of you a little bit more.
Definitely an aspect of like win-loss, or just a style of play that you don't enjoy, or versus like bad general play, right? If there's, if you prefer air raid and your team switches to a more run-heavy offense, if you're talking football, I could see where you'd be like, I don't really want to watch this if they're not winning, versus like, oh, they're losing a lot of games, but they were close in all of these, and I like watching them. It's a very situational kind of situation to find yourself in. I think for you got to stick this one out. You got to let it ride and see if they turn it around, because you never know, especially in baseball. There's just so many games.
Well, we are going to talk coming up on the other side a little bit more about some football. Get into college football conversation. The Big Ten has had some meetings, some interesting nuggets that have come out of that. The future of the 2014 playoff, plus Iowa State in year number 1. Where should expectations be for the fans? We'll tackle that when we come back here on Miller and Condon. It's the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Live and local every weekday. Statewide on the Iowa Sports Radio Network and everywhere you are on the free iHeartRadio app. This is Des Moines Sports Station, 106.3 KXN.
Your mower needs a tune-up, but hauling it across town, that's not ideal.
Clive Power Equipment's new mobile service program takes care of that. Our technicians come right to your driveway with everything they need to get your equipment running like new. Mowers, snow blowers, handheld equipment, all major brands, flat rate pricing, and great customer service you would expect from Clive Power. Book online anytime at clivepowerequipment.com or call 515-279-2296. Clive Power Equipment. We come to you.
What would you love to get back to? Walking the dog without pain? Finishing a round of golf? Getting through the day without stiffness slowing you down? With 9 convenient clinic locations and personalized hands-on care, their team helps you move better, feel stronger, and get back to doing what you love. At Kinetic Edge Physical Therapy, it's not just about treating pain. It's about helping you return to the activities that make life yours. Call Kinetic Edge Physical Therapy today to schedule your appointment or visit kineticedgept.com and start moving better now.
If you're not feeling right, you shouldn't ignore it. Treat it, but treat it your way. Urology Center of Iowa has a dedicated men's health wellness center designed to restore your confidence and your comfort and put you back in control. Because at UCI, you'll get personalized treatment based on you and nobody else. You deserve a clear plan, a private tailored experience, and judgment-free care. That's UCI. Schedule an appointment with UCI today at iowauro.com. That's iowauro.com.
Remember how you felt when you were 25? Your morning workouts were a breeze. You had a drive that kicked in way before your first cup of coffee. Does it feel like you're losing your edge? You know, it might not be your age. It could be low testosterone. At Mentality, we'll get to the bottom of what's really going on and build a personalized plan using testosterone replacement and peptide therapies to help restore your energy, focus, and drive. Get back to being the guy you used to be. Book your appointment with Mentality at lowtusa.com. Again, that's lowtusa.com.
With iHeart, everything you hear is guaranteed human. That's why 78% of listeners trust their favorite radio host's product recommendations. If you manage a business or need to drive sales, that trust goes a long way. Call 844-844-iHeart. Again, that's 844-844-iHeart.
Hello, I'm Ozempic, and I'm other GLP-1s, kind of like him. Hey, are you shaking a maraca? No, I'm shaking the pill version of Ozempic, which no one should ever do except in ads like this.
A nice disclaimer.
Hey, thanks. Ask your doctor about which FDA-approved uses of the Ozempic pen or pill may be right for you. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and learn more about Ozempic semaglutide tablets, 9 milligrams, and Ozempic semaglutide injection, 2 milligrams.
There's a pill version of Ozempic.
Now here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website, coin. That's coin. Enter it now.
KXNO.com. More with Miller and Condon in 60 seconds, right here on 106.3 KXNO.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses, plus free delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number. To a good life's sleep.
It's the French Open, where every point is a battle on clay. I'd know. I competed there for decades. Join me, Renee Stubbs, on the Renee Stubbs Tennis Podcast for no-nonsense breakdowns of the biggest matches, the toughest players, and the moments that define Roland Garros.
Listen, Elena Rybakina is arguably the best player in the world right now, and I actually can win on any surface.
Search the Renee Stubbs Tennis Podcast on iHeartRadio, America's #1 podcast network, and the Webby Podcast Company of the Year.
Presented by Capital One, founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports.
You're listening to Miller and Condon on 106.3 KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network, flagship 106.3 KXNO here in Des Moines. A shout out to our great affiliates across the state, Sioux City, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, and the Quad Cities. Trent Condon here, Nick Marovets over there, joining me today from Locked On Cyclones. And Nick, well, we ended getting ready to talk some college football. We've talked about the path, the likelihood of 2014 playoff, the expansion, and what's going to happen there in the past. Does it feel to you that we're almost at the point that it's a foregone conclusion, that 24 is going to happen? It is no discourse that's going to change that, regardless of what the SEC wants, that 24 is going to be the number starting in 2027.
Absolutely. Well, I guess I don't know about the timing, right? So I don't know when it will happen, but I am at this point 100% in on the fact that we're going to be at 24 teams. I saw Brett Bielema talk about like how many teams can we humanly add to the bracket. I'm like, when is this going to end? Is it just like the entire season is at some point a bracket and it's like a triple elimination type of thing? I don't love the idea that it's expanding as rapidly as it is. But last time I was in studio, I believe, is when you brought up the idea that like we thought we were going to be at 12 teams for a little longer than we actually were. This is a pretty short-lived 12-team playoff. I could see this being upgraded as soon as 2027 or 2028, and then potentially jumping up to 28 teams or 32 teams. And just like, what is the limit for football? I think we'll find out. And to your point, I think this is not a matter of if, but a matter of when.
I love the 24-team field. I also enjoy the 12-team field. I think both of them make sense. And just as a general college football fan, I think 12 might be my favorite, what we currently have. But selfishly, for what we do here in the state of Iowa, 24 is better. The likelihood that we see Iowa State get into a 24-team field expands significantly. And you look at, historically the last 25 years, there's going to be more than a handful of times that both Iowa and Iowa State would have made a playoff. So I think that also changes it too. It changes expectations. Maybe it's going to lead to shorter leashes for some coaches not getting into that college football playoff. But the 24-team structure, again, from a look at Iowa, for you for Iowa State, that is a whole lot better to get in and potentially win a game, maybe win a couple and go on a little bit of a run. I think there is a real possibility of that. Tony Petitti, the commissioner of the Big Ten, had this to say if people, 24 seems like too much, want to meet in the middle with a 16-team playoff. Well, this is what he said. We've had zero conversation about 16. Plan B is what we have now. We would stay with what we have now, unquote. That's what Petitti had to say. So I think it's as simple as that. If they can't come to a conclusion, if the SEC really digs in their heels and are unwilling to adapt, it's going to stay at 12 as opposed to the 24. I just think we're going to get to 24 eventually, Nick.
I do too. And 24, to your point, like you love it. Jimmy Rogers loves it. Jimmy Rogers likes that idea, obviously coming from an FCS background. He said in the Cyclones tailgate tour that once you get in, anybody can knock people off. I think that's very true. He quoted Mike Leach talking about it's worked for everybody else. Like, I think there is a lot of upside. The only reason I'm apprehensive of a 24-team playoff is not because at its core, 24 teams is bad. I am not like necessarily saying that model doesn't make sense. It's more about, well, we were at 4 and then we went to 12 and now we're going to 24. So what is the end goal here? Because at some point you're going to keep making more money. Like, do you have play-ins and then conference championships go away, which that might happen with 24. And then all of a sudden the last 5 weeks of your season is a round robin. And then that your placement in that puts you in a playoff and then a playoff into the playoff. And I just think this is a slippery slope. There is obviously a limit. You can't probably have a 64-team playoff, but look at what's happening in basketball. I thought 64 was going to be the cap and then 68, and now we're expanding again. And so not saying there's anything wrong with 24. I think it's actually really good for Iowa and Iowa State. But then where does that take us down the road as college football fans?
So one thing I found interesting, I was listening yesterday on my way home to a podcast with Stuart Mandel from The Athletic, along with Bruce Feldman and Ralph Russo. And they were talking about this expansion, the 24-team field. And I've heard now Stuart Mandel, look, I've had him on the radio show plenty of times. He's a Northwestern nerd, so we got to kind of give him a little bit of, but his biggest complaint is that suddenly these huge games at the end of the season, these huge games that we've had, the Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Auburn, that they're not going to matter. That they're not going to matter because both teams are going to already be in the playoff and there's not going to be the same stakes that are there. I just shake my head because these rivalry games are not going to change. The big games that we see throughout the course of the season, there's still going to be something on the line, be it a first round bye and already being in the round of, so being in the top 8, that's obviously going to be a component of it. Hosting a first round playoff game, even those big, huge games are still going to matter. Plus the rivalries. It's not like guys are going to be sitting out for Ohio State, Michigan. You're not going to be getting healthy. I don't think we're ever going to see that in college football. But the other part of it, and the part that he misses so much, is suddenly we go to that final week of the season and Iowa State has a chance to get in, how that elevates that final game of the year. Iowa, Nebraska, there's been a couple of Iowa needs to win this to win the Big Ten West, but come on. I mean, nationally, are people really tuning in. But if there's a playoff bid involved there, if there's a playoff bid for Wisconsin, Minnesota, the winner goes to the college football playoff, those games get elevated so much more. And just the sheer volume, not just in the final weekend, but of the final month of the year, so many teams still jockeying for position. Will it hurt in a way? Maybe the TV numbers for a huge matchup, LSU, Alabama, because, well, both teams are going to be in. Potentially, I still don't think so, but potentially, I guess I would listen to that argument. But there's so many other games across the college football landscape that are going to matter that I think it's going to be that lifting tides lifts all boats, right? That you're going to have everybody, and all those games are going to be elevated.
Yeah, I think it's a balancing act, right? So like a game like an LSU Alabama, how much is that impacted versus the, Iowa Nebraska game? Like how many more people are tuning into that? And is it a net positive, essentially, is my thought process. And when you talk about, what is the cutoff? Maybe three loss team, or I don't know, 4 loss seems like kind of a lot. So I'll say 3 loss team is the cutoff. Well, your first loss happens in, maybe early September, second loss, maybe early October. Now, all those games in November now matter. Every single one of them is extremely, win or go home type of situation. And I think it elevates the entire season. I've kind of been of the camp that I don't love the idea that losses matter less, but I don't know if I'm really in that. I'm kind of turning myself around and saying it's not that they matter less. It's just that you're pushing back the tipping point. So the tipping point is no longer, a non-conference game that half the people were watching and then everyone got upset that they somehow lost it. It's now the games that everybody's watching at the end of the year and everyone's tuned in, and it's more games that people didn't expect to matter. So obviously before, Auburn, Alabama, big game, everyone's watching anyway. There were implications, but now it's going to turn attention to those smaller games that people wouldn't have initially seen to say, oh, this team made it in with this win, or this team was just barely in but lost. I think there's a lot of net positive actually to shifting to a 2014 playoff.
One thing that I do want to see, and the committee, the TV show that Ken and I argue about every single year, the Tuesday ranking reveal show, I think it's awful for college football. They twist themselves in knots. They lie to us. And then some factor that mattered the week before doesn't. Yeah. I think it's awful television. I think even more, it is awful for the sport of college football. But that aside, is one thing I do want to see change, because we're still going to have a committee, right? That's still going to be the way that we determine these teams. It's not going to be strictly going by an old BCS formula or anything like that. Is I want them to really dig in to every team's resume, that every resume really matters, and not just using the sorting tool that has historically been the sorting tool in college football, win-loss record. It's a terrible way to just look at a team, because a team that goes, say, 10-2 with Notre Dame last year, I thought Notre Dame could have won the national championship a year ago. They had the head-to-head loss, though, to Miami. And after their first 2 games of the year, their schedule stunk. It wasn't very good, and it wasn't compelling. And 10-2 for Notre Dame feels really good. But is that better than what Texas was at 9-3 last year, playing the SEC schedule and the difficult schedule that they had? USC and them played a Michigan that went 9-3 last year. Not just sorting things by win-loss record, really making strength of schedule matter. And the schedule that you play in your conference, that matters too, because with these bloated conferences, a conference record of 7-2 in one conference might not even be as good as a 5-4, depending on the schedule that they have. So that's something that I really want to see, is making sure when we're going through these teams, we're not just taking the easy way out and just sorting them by what their win-loss record is.
Well, even further than that, a 7-2 team in the Big 12 might be miles behind a 7-2 team in the Big 12, because they play different competition. These conferences are getting so big that, you could play, it's all a little hypothetical, but you could play the whole top half and go 7-2 versus a team that played the entire bottom half. They're so big, you legitimately could, at 7-2, that's 9. So I guess with the, Big 12 being 16, it wouldn't actually work out. There'd probably be one common opponent. But my point is, it really does matter what the strength of schedule is. My question for you would be, what about a team like a Miami, Ohio? This year for basketball, it's a little different, but they just played who was in front of them and they beat them. How do you handle a team like that? Do you have to go undefeated to be considered? Do you have to only lose one game? Like, where does it actually become, well, they only were able to play the people in front of them?
I think a good comparison is what we saw 2 years ago in football with Boise. Boise just had one loss during the course of the year. It was a loss to Oregon, but you watched that game and it was a tight game. Oregon team that went on to go undefeated that season, was 13-0 in the regular season before they ran into the buzzsaw of Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. We knew that team was good. So it's not just that the win-loss record looks very good. They competed against a really good team and then ran the table after that for Boise. I don't think that there needs to be anything determining, but then you go back a little bit further. Remember the Liberty team, was that 4 years ago, that went to the Fiesta Bowl and just got absolutely trucked? They were undefeated, but their schedule was an absolute joke that year. And Conference USA was really down. They were transitioning. The league was down. Their non-conference schedule did not have anything difficult on them. Yeah, you can be in the college football playoff, but you're not going to be hosting a game. You're not going to get a first-round bye. That is the component to it where you really have to dig deeper into these resumes than it feels like a lot of times this committee does.
Yeah, it's tricky because when you have a team like Boise State that really only played the one team and won all the other games, like, you're kind of rolling the dice a little bit. And so I wonder if that's where 24 teams, you can have a little, obviously there's always going to be teams left out. There's always going to be teams on the bubble that everybody thought should have gotten in, but you get a little bit more grace because if you let in a, let's say a Boise, right, just for sake of simplicity here, into a 4-team playoff and they got blown out, there's a lot of conversation around that because there's only 4 spots. But 24 teams, you let in, a UNLV that went undefeated. Nobody really saw that coming, and then they get blown out in the first round. Well, it's one of 12, first-round games or however it works out, whatever the formula that they use is, the bracket. It's not as impactful. And so I think there's some benefit there. You can be a little bit more lenient. Obviously, you do have to be careful, and I agree. You don't want to let in just all of the top, win column teams. You have to kind of sift through it, but you can also make some mistakes, and it's not the end of the world.
A little bit more from the Big Ten meetings happening out in California from Tony Bettini. He mentioned that if Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, were to agree to a 24-team field, it could be implemented in time for 2027. But what other component here? Ward Manuel, the AD at Michigan, said this: I think 24 stops the conversation. There's no way I could see us going past 24. And that's where I am too. I think 24 is the end game. I think that is because we've been talking about the NCAA basketball expansion forever. We've been talking about this thing for decades now, about this idea going to 72 or now what they're going to do with 76 teams. That's been out there for so long. 24, I think that's the right number, comprised throughout it, and at least for a long time. Never is a very long time. I get that, but I think 24 is the easy stopping point. It makes a whole lot of sense. And then after that, we can figure out what the conferences are going to look at like starting in like 2030, right?
Yeah, right. I disagree. I really do. And it's a little bit of a Debbie Downer maybe perspective, but I just don't see, maybe it'll be okay for 2 years, for 3 years, but eventually someone's going to say something and someone's going to get interested and someone's going to see some more money somewhere else. And I just don't see it capping out at 24. I don't know if it changes. I don't know if it becomes, 25 or 26, like a weird number. It's like, what? How are they even doing that? I just hesitate to say, after especially the history of like 4 to 12 and now immediately jumping to 24, that they're going to hold off. I think they'll make it seem like, oh yeah, this is the end game. We just want to get this through so we can be done. And then they get it done. And then they're immediately thinking, it's like when the NFL went from 16 to 17, they're going to go to 18. They're going to go to 20. Like, they're going to at least want to push for that. How does it work out? What is the limit, right? You can't play football year round. You can't have a 128 team field. It just doesn't work. But I think they're going to toe that line literally every time they expand.
Well, more college football conversation with you, Nick. And this is something that I talked about earlier today on my podcast, Locked On Hawkeyes. Nick is the host of Locked On Cyclones, daily coverage on both of the teams here in the state of Iowa. We're coming to the end of the contract for Cyhawk. It is signed through 2027. The game this year will be at Kinnick Stadium. 2027, it will be at Jack Trice Stadium. Are we going to see the Iowa State Cyclones, at least for the foreseeable future, in Kinnick Stadium for the last time in a while coming up this year? And same for Iowa next year, making their way to Jack Trice. Do you anticipate this rivalry, at least for now, with no contract after 27, is going to be coming to a close for a while?
I feel like it's going to continue. I don't know for sure, because obviously the landscape is very different than it was 2 years ago, even. Like, you could obviously say 5 years ago, but just even in the last few years, things have gotten significantly whipped around. You look at rev share, you look at where money's coming from, private equities now. Like there's just so much that is going into this. But I think that it's going to stay. I think the rivalry is tighter. Like if you would have said the contract was going to be up when Iowa had won, 15 in a row, and this was the situation that the current look of college football was happening back then, I think maybe it would have ended. But I actually see it continuing. What do you think is going to happen? And I'm actually more curious because this has been Iowa's perspective for a long time, was that it wasn't worth playing. Do you feel like now it's actually worth continuing, or is Iowa in a better spot playing somebody that you're just a guaranteed win? You can, kind of go through the non-con, no sweat, and then start in the Big Ten. And that's really where your season starts.
For a long time, for maybe the better part of 20 years, I was a proponent of seeing at least a hiatus every once in a while to give some more flexibility to the non-conference scheduling for Iowa. I wanted to see the opportunity. And when they had a chance to play Notre Dame a couple of years back, but in order to do that, playing them at Soldier Field, they needed to take Iowa State off the schedule. And Jamie Pollard said no. That was kind of a final straw for me. You had a big time opportunity. Iowa hasn't played Notre Dame in decades and decades. It used to be a game that was played almost yearly. And to have that opportunity and for Pollard to say no, that was frustrating. And it's back and forth. And I kind of play this one down the middle because for a long time, Iowa, when they moved to the 9 conference games from the 8, you had 3 non-conference games, and it would be Iowa State and then 2 tomato cans, right? A couple of bye games. That was all that you're going to get. And I love the variety. Like, I love those trips, even though they ended in losses, going down to Tucson to watch them take on Arizona, to go to Tempe to take on Arizona State, the road trips out to Syracuse and Pittsburgh. I love those games, and we knew they weren't coming back unless there was a break. So for a long time, I wanted to see 2 years on, 2 years off, and for Iowa to go out and have that flexibility for them to schedule other teams. Well, now with these new additions of the Big Ten, you're already getting that. You had Washington and Oregon come to town the last couple of years. You're going to have USC and UCLA, those road trips, obviously, and the way that the Hawkeye fans have traveled so far to them. They get to go to Seattle this year to take on the Huskies. I'm not as big about it, but I don't know. There's also the component that you look at with Iowa State and what the Big 12 now is compared to what it once was. And that question, in this new era of the college football playoff, does it make sense for them? If you're realistically for Iowa, trying to make the playoff 2 out of every 5 years. Maybe that's a realistic goal for them. About 40% of the time being a playoff team, win or lose, does playing Iowa State help you? That's the part that I struggle. Does it?
I mean, when I'm looking at this game, it's pretty rare that I do this, but I am genuinely trying to take off my fan hat as much as I can. Because when growing up in Williamsburg, I feel like it was a pretty big deal. You talked about growing up, it was like it wasn't even a rivalry. Like, it wasn't obviously something where everyone was super fired up about it, but it felt like it had some weight. It was one of the few games that I felt like everyone was watching. Obviously Iowa fans are watching their games. Iowa State fans are watching theirs. When we're all watching the same thing, it was like, as a fan, it was kind of special to me. But this is a game that I've gotten to the point where I have to, whether should we do it or not, I have to look at it objectively. And it sometimes tells me like, it just doesn't make sense. Iowa State playing in the Big 12 cannot really afford, especially in a 12-team playoff. 24 gets a little dicey, but cannot afford to lose that game, because if you do and you lose that early, you're not really getting a ton of benefit from losing to Iowa. I mean, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but it's not like you're losing to Alabama by 3 points, on the road. It's kind of it's just an equal opponent almost, and you take a loss for almost no reason. So obviously, there were some close ones last year, like Arkansas State kind of got bailed out in that one. So I don't know if it's like a lock that you're going to win all of your non-conference games if you don't schedule Iowa. But I do wonder if it's like, is it really benefiting Iowa State to win that game? Because I don't know if the boost for winning that is as big as the dip for losing it, if that makes sense.
And if the series does go away, we see Sayhawk no more, and Iowa goes out there and schedules Akron, and Iowa State goes out there and schedules Southern Utah, and that's
they'll be going to Bowling Green or something.
Yeah. That's another conversation. Quick timeout. We're back on the other side. Nick Marovets hanging out with me, Trent Condon. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Quick question. Want to go to Vegas with KXNO?
We're giving away the Circa Silver Anniversary Experience. Flights, Circa Hotel, food money, stadium swim, sportsbook VIP access, and nights out with the KXNO crew. All for one lucky winner and a guest. And 5 more winners still get the Vegas hookup. You've got until June 28th to enter. Don't hear about it later. Be there. Only from KXNO and Circa. Sign up now at KXNO.com.
At Kia of Des Moines, it's been 1 year since the unveiling of our new state-of-the-art showroom. So we're celebrating all month long. It's our anniversary sale, and you get the gift. Shop and save on all of your favorite new Kias with financing as low as 0.9% for 60 months. Don't miss the anniversary sale going on now at Kia of Des Moines. Shop KiaDM.com. With approved credit for well-qualified buyers. Valid on new 2026 Kia Sportage models. $1,705 per thousand finance monthly. Must finance through KMF. Expires 6/1/26.
Hey everyone, Chef Brandon here. The Burger Shed is your go-to for handcrafted burgers and real ice cream shakes. Try the Shed Burger, stacked high with smoked brisket, the Farmhouse Burger with a fried egg, hash browns and bacon jam, or the cheesy Mac Attack. We've also got Shed favorites like our pork tenderloin and smoked turkey Reuben. Add in local beers and big screen TVs, and you've got the perfect spot for game day and every day. Burger Shed, Bass Pro Drive in Altoona. Burgers, beers, and a whole bunch of BS.
iHeart's Yacht Rock Radio goes commercial-free all Memorial Day weekend. Smooth sailing with the greatest from the 70s and 80s. Just open the free iHeart app, search Yacht Rock, and start listening now.
The Cubs-Cardinals rivalry is back as the Iowa Cubs host the Memphis Redbirds May 19th through the 24th. 6 straight games where every pitch matters, plus Dog Day with a hot dog candle giveaway, Japan Night, Princess Day, and more. Get your tickets at iowacubs.com.
When it comes to family law, a lot has changed in recent years, so assumptions can be costly. If you see or sense a change coming in your family life that could have legal implications, it's important to know where you stand. What are your rights and responsibilities? Getting good legal advice early is never a bad idea. I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. If you or anyone you know is facing a family law issue, start with a consultation. Visit CordellCordell.com.
If you're thinking about upgrading your HVAC system, Green's Appliance Heating and Cooling is turning up the value. For a limited time, when you purchase a new qualifying HVAC system, you'll receive a free water heater included. That means improved comfort, better efficiency, and dependable hot water, all in one smart upgrade. Professional installation, trusted local technicians, and comfort you can count on. Don't miss this limited time offer. Call Greens today or schedule online at greensahc.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
At the Chicken Coop, we're starting from scratch. That's right. We're dropping some new recipes along with your favorites, and they're all made from scratch.
Boneless wings and chicken tenders made from scratch when you order.
Get your spice on with our new Nashville hot chicken sandwich.
Or our new buffalo chicken sandwich.
Both made from scratch.
Don't forget our wings, made with 12 different sauces that are, you guessed it, made from scratch.
The Chicken Coop has the best chicken and is made from scratch in our kitchen.
Stop in or order online today.
Ken Miller, Trent Condon, Miller and Condon on 106.3 KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Mushroom. Back with you one final time, hour number 1. Another hour to go here. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. Got Nick Marovets with me today. Nick, quickly, some news from yesterday on the Iowa State front. A new transfer running back coming to town from Tulane, Arnold Barnes III. What can you tell us?
I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the team. I don't know if it's going to be RB1 status, but depth is going to be a huge piece to this running back room. Johnson talked about running back by committee, 3 or 4 guys. I think just adding another guy to the roster to get a few snaps, take some load off of the other guys is a huge move for Iowa State. Obviously, with the departure of Jackson and the injury to Allah, like this makes a lot of sense.
Nick, it's been fun. We'll talk to you again soon. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nick Marovets, Locked on Cyclones, your daily Iowa State Cyclone podcast. Coming back, hour 2 is next. We kick it off, talking Hawks.
I was already prepared to be impressed, but H&H Windows and Doors still exceeded my already high expectations installing our new door and windows. Yep, they are in, and the process from start to finish was quick and easy. The crew from H&H Windows and Doors was in and out in less than a day. Their attention to details like trim and paint makes it look like that brand new sliding glass door has always been in our home. And our new basement windows look so nice, we're getting an estimate to replace the rest of our windows too. H&H Windows and Doors is a small, locally owned family business, and they know how to take care of their customers. Ask about their interest-free financing and lots of options for every budget. One of the best things you could do for your home's energy efficiency, home value, and curb appeal is replace old windows and doors. Call H&H Windows and Doors today at 515-216-4901 or go to hhwindoor.com. Tell them Heather sent you in.
My mission is improving lives, whether it's my team or my clients. And with so much turbulence in the world, can we really put a price tag on peace of mind? Your old buddy Brian here from Service Legends. And in my world, here's what peace of mind looks like to improve your life. So I pulled the data on our top-notch tune-ups from last year. 98.2% of the systems we maintained are still running like clockwork. I truly believe that's what homeowners like you really want. No breakdowns and getting the absolute most life out of your system. True peace of mind. I have so much confidence in my home comfort heroes and the job they do for Service Legends clients that I'm putting this ironclad 1-year guarantee on the line this summer. In the outside chance your AC does have a challenge after one of our top-notch tune-ups, I'm not only going to refund the cost of your tune-up, I will fix it for free. Look, not all AC tune-ups are created equal, and clearly not all guarantees are either.
Call 515-COMFORT. We fix it right. It's free. Service Legends.
We want you to come with us. Yep, Mrs. C and I are going to the birthplace of Western civilization, the place where democracy started, where philosophy started, literature, art, and architecture, Greece. We're going to Athens, to Mykonos, to Santorini, September the 5th through the 15th. Walk through history with me and Mrs. C in Athens, the ancient heart of Greece, with a guided visit to the legendary Acropolis. Then we can all escape to Mykonos, where we will have a wonderful tour through the charming Mykonos town. And that's where we're rolling up our sleeves and doing a Greek cooking class. I can't wait. Next, we get to go to Santorini. It's one of the most breathtaking islands in the Aegean. This is Greece at its finest. Culture, cuisine, unforgettable beauty. Space is limited, so call my friends at Ally Travel today. 515-270-7070. That's 515-270-7070. All you have to do is pack your bags.
Man, whenever I use a sports book, I feel like I'm just getting robbed blind.
Dude, you've got to delete that app. You need to be using Polymarket.
Polymarket? How are they any different?
Polymarket is a prediction market, not a sports book. You trade against other fans just like you, not the house. That means more money for you and less for those greedy sports books.
For real?
Yep. Sports books take around $9 on a $100 position and then pay out around $500. Polymarket pays out $650 on that same position.
What's the catch?
No catch. Even better, it's available in all 50 states. Polymarket is so confident that you'll never go back, they're giving you $50 free on your first trade.
I'm deleting my sportsbook app. How do I get started?
Download Polymarket now and use promo code HEAT for $50 free for your first trade. Stop letting sportsbooks steal from you. Download Polymarket and use promo code HEAT for $50 free on your first trade. Use promo code HEAT.
Trading not available in all jurisdictions. Check local regulations before trading. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply.
I've got a personal question. At what point did you stop calling it pain and start calling it, the that's just how I am now. Well, that's not okay, and deep down, you know it. So let's get back the you who is active and carefree, and the medical team at QC Kinetics is ready to help with their long-lasting regenerative treatments for joint pain. My right knee was really bothering me from a couple of knee surgeries many years ago, and QC Kinetics got me walking, lifting, and golfing again pain-free. They're helping patients with pain from arthritis or injury in their knees, shoulders, hips, lower back. Now, all of these same people are moving, sleeping, golfing, and running without surgery or long recoveries. This is just getting back to being you. And the longer inflammation sits, the more damage it does. So let's schedule that free consultation today. Call QC Kinetics at 515-259-1227. That's 515-259-1227 for QC Kinetics. Tell them Heather said they could help.
KXNO AM Des Moines, KXNO FM Ankeny, KKTM HD2 Des Moines. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, sports talk, and podcasts. Miller and Condon on 106.3 KXNO is sponsored by TC Sports LLC.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. James Harden has become one of the harder players in the NBA to figure out. Some nights, he looks like one of the most gifted offensive players in the game. Then there are nights like last night where he barely resembled a startable player. For Cleveland, that inconsistency is becoming impossible to ignore. Last night marked the sixth time this postseason Harden finished with more turnovers than made field goals. For a player expected to improve a contender, those numbers are brutal. What makes it worse? His defensive performance is as concerning. The Cavs know what Harden is capable of at his best, and that's why they made the move in the first place. But postseason basketball is built on reliability, and now Cleveland doesn't know what version of Harden they can expect. Until Cleveland gets some level of consistency from Harden, fully buying into this team on a nightly basis is going to stay difficult. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. These days, everybody's searching for ways to save on insurance, scrolling comparison sites, digging through tips, chasing deals. But Liberty Mutual makes it simple. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance to save you money. And when you bundle, those savings really start to come through. It's insurance built for real people with a team that helps you keep what matters most, money. No hassle, just confidence that your coverage is customized with savings in mind. Get a quote at libertymutual.com or with your local independent agent. Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it really easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Yokohama tires. Go to TireRack.com/Dan, see their Yokohama test results, tire ratings, and reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Congratulations to KXNO on their silver anniversary and 25 years on the air in Iowa, being the home of sports talk radio.
We're giving you a chance to experience everything Circa has to offer with a trip along with your favorite KXNO personalities.
The next KXNO Silver Ticket Tour will bring you to Las Vegas and Circa for 4 days, 3 nights. Go to KXNO.com to sign up and have a chance to experience Circa with KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
And we hope to see you soon at Circa.
Live from the TNT Landscaping and Nursery Studios, you're listening to 106.3 KXNO. 106.3 KXNO. Ken Miller, Trent Condon. This is Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Hour number 2, welcome back to Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. I'm Trent Condon. Ken will be back with us tomorrow. We'll have David Kaplan joining the show, normally on Wednesdays, but with Ken taking a few days off here as he counts down the days to retirement. And we're going to move those to Thursday. David Kaplan coming up 1 o'clock tomorrow. Right now, Eliot Clough joins us from HawkeyeInsider.com. It's part of 24/7 Sports. Appreciate the time as always. Eliot, what is happening on the east side of the state?
Not a whole lot, Trent. It's actually pretty nice out today. It's been kind of gloomy over here, but nice sunny and 55. I've been putting off mowing, and I'm going to get that done today. My lawn looks like a jungle, so about time to get that done. But yeah, pretty chill day over here.
Well, before that, you wrote about a potential new kicker for Iowa, and that's always exciting for Hawkeye fans. We know the importance of special teams and how important that is year in and year out. What can you tell us about special teams recruiting and kind of going hand in hand with Chris Polizzi, the new special teams coordinator, and the big shoes that he has to fill after the departure of LeVar Woods?
Yeah, not a position that, every program offers scholarships for, especially right out of high school, is kicker especially. But Polizzi goes over to the Carolinas, which we know Iowa loves to do some recruiting out there for kickers. Offered the number one kicker in the country in Moses Barker, as well as Ben Ledoux and then Ford Failing, two other kickers, all ranked on cold kicking. Moses Barker is the number one in the country, a 5-star prospect. So Polizzi going out there and trying to get the roots to stay down in the Carolinas for Iowa specialists. But kind of interesting to see Iowa go out there and offer right away. I believe Eli Ozick has 2 years of eligibility left, and then Barr from the Quad Cities, their backup walk-on kicker, has a few years, has all 4 years of eligibility left actually. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake out in that kicker room, how those the other two, Ozick and the walk-on from Bettendorf, how they develop this year, and how Polizzi kind of goes about things with this 2027 recruiting class. All three, or at the very least, I know that Failing and Barker will be in Iowa City in June for unofficial visits, but they'll be there for camp. So the rest of the staff will be able to watch them work out, and we'll see how things shake out. But kind of an interesting position. The number one kicker in the country, it's like, okay, yeah, you offer that guy because other schools are offering him. The other ones are interesting. So Polizzi must like what he sees and thinks he can continue to develop the other two as well.
We're talking on the recruiting front there, but kind of looking at it, I think we both came out of camp. If I remember our conversation afterwards, probably Ozick has a leg up on Burr. We didn't get to see Burr during the open practice. Punting probably going to come down maybe to the 12th hour before we figure out who's going to be the punter coming up this season. But one thing we haven't talked a ton about is in the return game. And you don't replace a guy with Caden Weechen. This guy had a historic run at the University of Iowa. Though Iowa's special teams have been good, return game has been good. Let's start first at punt return. There's been a lot of talk about potentially Zach Lutmer back there in the punt return game. Is that something that you like and something you anticipate he's going to be back there on punts?
Yeah, I think he's your guy there. Was the backup to Weechen last year. I think he's the favorite to be in that position far and away. Lutmer is one of those guys that you just get on the field as much as possible because he could play all 5 defensive back positions, but technically he could, but he can't play all 5 at once, right? So you got to get him somewhere there, and then he's got to be on special teams in one capacity or another. And you prefer older guys to be returning punts, especially because one thing that we always heard from LeVar Woods and that Weechen preached too is you got to be fearless because those guys are coming at you full speed. You got to be able to see what's going on, and Lutmer is a guy that you trust at least to step into a position like that. Another name that I just I haven't heard a lot of myself, but I kind of want to be part of the competition is Nathan McNeil. He's another guy that, with the running back group so loaded, you got to find reps for these guys. So at least to a degree, you have to play the game, right? You have to get these guys reps in ways that because only one guy can touch the ball. Out of the backfield. One guy can get a carry, right? So, and I think that's going to be Kamari Moulton for the most part this year, and then bringing in a 2,000-yard rusher like L.J. Phillips. I don't really see those guys. I don't really see Xavier Williams being a guy who would return punts or kicks. So, I think Nathan McNeil could be a factor in both punts and kicks if they so decide to put him in those situations. So, I would like to see McNeil back there. Whether he will be or not is the question.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think back during the Ferentz tenure if there's been any running backs back there on punt returns. We've seen it obviously plenty of times at kick returns, and there's been some good ones there. But in punt return, I can't remember off the top of my head, and kind of thinking back, early in his career before a guy like Akram Wadley burst onto the scene. We certainly could see the juice out of him, but Kirk also loves the guys that can secure the ball. But I wonder if it's just a different kind of flight of the football. Why we haven't seen a running back there returning punts is kind of befuddling now, because we're talking about, 28 years.
Right. Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly happy to put him back on kickoffs. We know Caleb Johnson was doing that for a while. TJ Washington was back there last year before he opted to transfer. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's a safety. I mean, not a safety thing, right? Like, we often see receivers or defensive backs returning punts, right? So, I feel like what we've seen from McNeil, what he's able to do in space, would be really beneficial back there. I mean, he did return punts and kicks in high school, if my memory serves me correctly, and he was pretty damn good at it. And he was doing it in Florida, and you know how good Florida is down there. So, in terms of high school football, so to me, I think he's one of those guys that's not too big to get his speed going, not a lumbering running back, not a punch in the mouth, though he probably could do that to DBs here and there, but slippery, explosive play guy. I just think it would make a lot of sense for him to be in that, at least in that conversation.
Kick return feels like it's a lot deeper because of maybe the thing that we just kind of stumbled across and the lack of running backs having an opportunity back there. Brevin Dollino was talked about. He was banged up again this spring. Great speed out of ADM, and a guy that selfishly I want to see out there. What else in the kick return game? You mentioned the running back, maybe McNeil. That certainly would make a whole lot of sense. Any other names that you would like or would like to see out there? Because I know a lot of people say, well, we got this guy in Tony Diaz that's getting all this buzz. Hey, let's find a way to get him the ball over there also on kick returns.
Yeah. Don't count out KJ Parker, I think, in kick return and punt return for that matter. He was a backup punt returner at Iowa's open spring practice. So that's a name to keep in mind. Not just ball skills. He's good in the open field too with the ball in his hands. So that's one to keep in mind. And then Braden Jackson, speaking of Des Moines area kids, walk on from Ankeny Centennial, the son of Fred Jackson, former Bills running back. That's one that actually Weejan brought up to me in the fall last year as far as names to watch for kick return this coming year. One of the fastest runners in the country, or sorry, not in the country, in the state in track as a senior. So that's one to keep eyes on too. I mean, he was one that I don't know how he didn't get FCS offers out the wazoo out of Centennial. Like UNI, the Dakota school should have been all over him, in my opinion. But he's another one that's really good in space, really fast. So those would be the ones that come to mind. I mean, who knows? Maybe Evan James. Like that's a quick, scatty receiver that you could throw into that competition, and he just hasn't really been available much this spring. So that's probably why we haven't heard much about him in that regard. But I mean, lots of options. Who it ends up being? I feel like Lutmer is a more or less a lock for punt return, just based on things we've heard. But kick return is looking like it's going to be open and going to have quite a few options there.
You look at recruiting that's happening right now. Things feel like they're going well. We talked with you a little bit last week about just the number of commitments that you anticipated out of this class, and it feels a little bit high. They're at 10 right now, but this is the time now here these next couple of weeks. We're likely going to find out how this class certainly fills in. Got the official visits coming up and the like. The guys that are coming in next, the guys that are uncommitted at this point in time, give us a name or two that you feel Iowa's in a good spot that you really like.
Kenyon Norman is one that comes to mind from Warren Central and Indianapolis. That's one of the more explosive backs. Obviously, they didn't get a recruit in the 26 class with the overturn of, or the turnover rather, of running back coach, and now going to Jay Norvell. Norvell has really been working hard to get some folks in and get a recruit, at least one in the class of 2027 between officials. And Norman is one that, I mean, he immediately told Sean Bach when Sean reached out that I was in my top 5. And that was within probably hours of him posting his offer. So that's one to keep an eye on. Kind of has some Caleb Johnson playmaking ability to him. So I would say that's the one that would keep the closest eye on in terms of one that Iowa wants and will be getting on an official here in June. And then other one, speaking of this class, is Kyler Kuhn from St. Pius X in the Kansas City area.
Mm-hmm.
Man, just a mauler. Like, you look at him and he'd probably play one of the 3 interior offensive line spots, probably guard. But he is one of those guys that has really risen up the ranks. I mean, he had Oregon offer, Nebraska's involved, like these programs that tend to spend a lot of money and get these 4-star guys. And he kind of has that Logan Jones, Cade Peeper type of mold where he's a pretty dang good athlete, can maul guys in the middle and is mobile and really feels like a George Barnett fit. So those are the 2 that come to mind, at least initially.
Well, I know Sean Bach over there at 24/7 Hawkeye Insider. He had a busy week as he was out in Memphis. New point guard offer that went out. Still, is it just the waiting game with Caden Dougherty at the top of this, just waiting his decision and trying to maybe slow play those others? Or if there's one of those other point guards that are ready to commit, is Iowa ready to take that commitment?
That's a good question. Dougherty is definitely right now it feels like he's between Iowa and Michigan. That's the feel anyway, I think, for the most part, with people who are covering his recruitment. And of course, I mean, like that's quite a position for this 5-star kid to be in, to choose between a team that is, being coached by Ben McCollum, arguably one of the best in the country. Just made a run to the Elite Eight for the first time in 40 years. And then, Dusty May and the national champion. You can't really go wrong in that situation, right? But Jackson Davis is another one that Iowa's in on in this class of 27 that they really like. I have a hard time seeing Ben as one that will be like, yeah, please, just take anybody who will commit, sort of thing. I think he'll be honest with whomever is maybe below Dougherty at this point. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much Ben right there. Ben is very confident, right? Mm-hmm. Ben is he knows who he is. He knows what he's good at. And he'll be honest with kids. He's not going to beat around the bush, and say, whatever it is that'll keep him around. I think Dougherty's the priority, but I mean, your guess is as good as mine as to what he does. I mean, I really do think it's 50-50 at this point. Iowa has a good shot, but Michigan is Michigan, and boy, do they have a lot of money too. So if it comes down to that, then I mean, Dougherty said it himself. He wants to win, and Michigan has won. So, and I mean, Iowa's won too, right? Yeah. And done it when it matters most. So could come down to the wire, and I think Iowa's in a good spot with Jackson Davis as well. So I don't think it's I don't think you're in a win-lose situation here. I think you're in a win-win because both are really good prospects. Both have gotten attention from some of the top programs in the country, and I think both are guys that McCollum can develop. I mean, like, look what he's done already. If you're doubting his ability to develop a 4 or 5-star recruit, you might be just uninformed at that point.
His philosophy, he wants to build this through the high school ranks. And yes, there's going to be portal guys. You're going to be filling in the gaps, but just getting that baseline. Yet you look at some of the things. I mean, if they would get a guy like Dougherty, is he going to be playing 36 minutes a game right away? You wouldn't think so. It's kind of that interesting thing I think a lot of coaches are trying to figure out in today's environment of the transfer portal. Can you still build and really set the foundation of your program through high school recruiting?
Yeah, I think if you're Iowa on that front, you just have to really get guys who are like a Trey Thompson, in that maybe, because they're not all going to play right away. They're just not. Like, I mean, bringing in a 4-star like that, everybody was like, oh, so he's going to be part of the rotation, maybe start this coming year. He didn't. Tate Sage really subsumed a lot of those minutes that I think a lot of people thought Thompson would. So I think you have to have guys that are like this 2025 class, that are like Trey Thompson, that are like Tate Sage, that are like Trevin Urach, that Tate Sage is just as confident coming off the bench and playing 20, 25 minutes as he was when he was playing 2-3 minutes at any given time. Trevin Urach able to come in and play, but doesn't let his ego get in the way. And I mean, if I were a 6'11" big who just won Iowa Mr. Basketball, I'd have an ego personally. And if luckily I'm well, maybe not luckily, but I'm definitely not that coming out of OABCIG high school. But it's a mix of confidence and understanding who you are while also understanding where you can go and trusting the process and trusting Ben McCullough, because Thompson was a top 100 recruit in the country, but he redshirted this season and he still believes he can come in and impact the game this coming year, impact Iowa and what they do. And so you just have to get I think a healthy mixture of developmental pieces where you can really see them reaching and playing really well, like a Yearock. You can get guys like Tate Sage who surprise early, and then you can get guys like Trey Thompson who really buy in. And even though things might not go the way they want to, they still believe in what can happen going forward. And of course, you're still going to have transfer portal guys. You're still going to have guys leave. I mean, money is absolutely going to be a part of these conversations, and whether it's, in Iowa or elsewhere. So I think they've really set a good foundation with this 2025 class. And the other thing too is they really take their time to get to know these guys. So, and I think that's smart. And I think that's how you end up with a Tate Sage, with a Trevin Yearock, with a Trey Thompson.
Final thing for you is we're talking with Eliot Clough from HawkeyeInsider.com. We're getting ready here later today, 5 o'clock first pitch with Iowa against Michigan State. The winner moves on to the quarterfinals of the Big Ten baseball tournament. Rick Heller, year in and year out, they're going to be solid at minimum. And they had some injuries this year in the pitching staff. Certainly has not played out the way that they want. These guys just rake, though. And seeing all these guys, you cover a lot of high school sports as I do, Elliot. Just seeing so many of these names, guys that that have gone on, play collegiately, and do it at a high level. Rick Heller, he does not have the budget, certainly of Kirk Ferentz or Ben McCullum or even Jan Jensen. He's doing it very much bare bones with that baseball program. Just the consistency that guy puts out on the field every single year, it's to be commended.
Yes. That is all I've got for you on Iowa baseball, Trent.
I know it's not your beat. Yeah. And
right. Yeah.
Yeah. You got, and that's something that
Rick
it's tough over there because you want to give a little bit of love to not the major sports, right? There's still things out there, but when you're not covering it day in and day out, that makes it tough too. And just finding what else to say outside of, hey, good job, Rick Heller. Another nice season.
Exactly. And I know they do get some coverage, of course, like Ethan Petrick does basically all the sports for the folks at the Quad City Times. Mm-hmm. So they are getting a little bit of coverage, and Ethan does an awesome job. So I agree. Rick does a good job. And I hear a few things about baseball and such. And if you can go out and watch them, definitely do. Rick is the type of coach that deserves the support that he gets for sure. And of course, being formerly from UNI, I gotta support the old school and what he's doing here at Iowa. But they deserve all the support that they're able to get. And I mean, just even playing baseball in colder weather areas up here, you're just flat out at a disadvantage compared to some of these SEC schools.
And you see
and I mean, what he's been able to do is really impressive.
No doubt. As I'm watching the Big Ten tournament right near in that weird, not an orange first base bag, the green first base bag over there. And we'll be watching them tonight coming up as Rutgers and Ohio State are scoreless in the Big Ten baseball tournament. Elliot, appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Trent.
That's Eliot Clough joining us, HawkeyeInsider.com. 24/7 sports. We're going to talk more college sports on the other side. We're going to be talking some college football. Spencer McLaughlin. Now, he considers himself the self-proclaimed neutral arbiter of all things college football. Where does he stand on a 2014 playoff? What's wrong? What's right? And a whole lot more. We're talking college football next with Spencer. Stay right there. Miller and Condon continues on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. Trent Condon here for Circa Sports. The Circa Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new book bookie today. Visit circusports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
I love cottage cheese. It's a great source of protein and goes with so many meals. And AE Dairy makes the absolute best. They've been making cottage cheese since the 1930s with so many flavors too, including AE Dairy's latest Parmesan garlic cottage cheese. Creamy AE Dairy cottage cheese meets bold Parmesan and garlic for a savory twist you didn't know you needed. AE Dairy Parmesan garlic cottage cheese is now in stores. Get product info and great recipes at aedairy.com.
Your one stop for advertising? Call 844-844-iHeart.
Hey, race fans, it's Tony Bacoven, the voice of the Knoxville Raceway. Make sure you come see us Saturday night, May the 23rd for the NOS Energy Drink World of Outlaws as they battle the Light and State Bank 410s. Plus, the Randall Roofing 360s will be racing. For more information, visit KnoxvilleRaceway.com.
If Twisted Tea was your best friend, they'd start a dance party in the supermarket that turns into a pool party at your place, and you don't even own a pool. Twisted Tea is smooth, refreshing, and always fun. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
The Cubs-Cardinals rivalry is back as the Iowa Cubs host the Memphis Redbirds May 19th through the 24th. 6 straight games where every pitch matters, plus Dog Day with a hot dog candle giveaway, Japan Night, Princess Day, and more. Get your tickets at iowacubs.com.
Aftershock Heating and Cooling is a family-owned residential HVAC company serving the Des Moines metro area.
We want you to come with us. Yep, Mrs. C and I are going to the birthplace of Western civilization, the place where democracy started, where philosophy started, literature, art, and architecture, Greece. We're going to Athens, to Mykonos, to Santorini, September the 5th through the 15th. Walk through history with me and Mrs. C in Athens, the ancient heart of Greece, with a guided visit to the legendary Acropolis. Then we can all escape to Mykonos, where we will have a wonderful tour through the charming Mykonos town. And that's where we're rolling up our sleeves and doing a Greek cooking class. I can't wait. Next, we get to go to Santorini. It's one of the most breathtaking islands in the Aegean. This is Greece at its finest. Culture, cuisine, unforgettable beauty. Space is limited, so call my friends at Ally Travel today. 515-270-7070. That's 515-270-7070. All you have to do is pack your bags.
Hey guys, it's us, the Jonas Brothers. I'm Joe.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Nick. And guess what? We created our own podcast called Hey Jonas.
We invented a podcast?
Well, we didn't invent it. We just contributed to it.
We're the first people to do podcasts. We get to ask other people questions because we're sick and tired of being asked questions.
Well, sick and tired is a strong way to put it, but you know,
Tired and sick.
tired and sick.
Listen to Hey Jonas on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Follow Hey Jonas and start listening on the free iHeartRadio app today.
Now here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Fun. That's fun. Enter it now. KXNO.com.
Ken and Trent are back in 60 seconds right here on 106.3 KXNO.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from IQBar. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at eatiqbar.com/policy/terms of service.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQBar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ bar products, plus free shipping. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 9 plant protein bars, 8 hydration mixes, and 4 mushroom coffee sticks. And now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping when you text RADIO to 64,000. Text RADIO to 64,000 to get your 20% off. That's RADIO to 64,000.
Miller and Condon on 106.3 KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. Trent Condon here with you today, trying to track down Spencer McLaughlin. And these are the tricky ones from time to time when you're trying to do a show solo and a guest doesn't answer the phone. Spencer McLaughlin, Spencer, that guy, he just bothers me from time to time. We've had some pretty good arguments. So over on Locked On, where I host a show, Nick Marovets, who was with us during hour number 1 of the program, when we do a weekly thing where we have all the hosts of the different conferences get together and we have kind of a roundtable conversation. And Spencer, who not only hosts Locked On Ducks, the Oregon podcast, he also hosts the Locked On College Football podcast. He was also usually the mediator, though, for what we do. And he likes to take shots from time to time. He's a different cat. But he is also the voice of Southern Utah athletics. So don't know if something grabbed a hold of him there. I think their season's maybe coming to a close. Could be wrong, though. But we'll wait and see if Spencer McLaughlin gets back to us here today. With that being said, if you were with us yesterday, my shoulder injury is better, but it's starting to crop back up. I think my meds maybe are just starting to dissipate just a little bit. So I'm just going to talk to you here in a little bit of pain, and we will persevere. We will fight through. One thing I do want to mention, if you missed it, the guarantees are out for the Circa football contest coming up this season. It is year after year wondering what the guarantee is going to be, how big it's going to be. That is something that week in, week out, year in and year out is always one that you're wondering about, of how big that Derek Stevens and the rest of the group with Mike Palm and company, how large are they going to go for the guarantees? This year, those guarantees are $30 million. That is how much is going to be out there. Same thing year after year. If they don't hit the minimum, it's not like the prize pool goes down. That is not the case at all. It is $30 million in guarantees. The way they set this up each and every year. If you've never been out there, and we've been talking a lot about, obviously, heading out to Circa coming up later this summer, the prize giveaway that we have along with it, go to kxno.com to qualify and give yourself an opportunity to head with Vegas without. It's going to be a great time. But the football contest, if you've never been involved, I played in both of them now for a number of years. Never got close to the money, never had anything, but it's the dreams, it's the thoughts. And even my first year, I made it to October. I think I got to week 5 or 6, something like that. Last year, also hung around for a while, but it's just those dreams and those thoughts. And you see the docuseries that Circa has made here recently of putting this all together and figuring out what it looks like and what they're able to do. Going behind the scenes with a lot of the contestants and getting involved there, talking about millions of dollars at stakes. It's the dream of it. It's the hope. I also love the Millions contest. And the Millions contest, the way that is structured is you just pick 5 games against the spread each and every week. That's the direction that you go. Feels very simple, right? Oh yeah, I can eke out a 3-2 every week, have a couple of 4-1s, you're going to be in good shape. That's all well and good. But historically, you're talking about hitting over the course of the year, like 75% of your games, and across a 18-week schedule that you have in the NFL, that is incredibly difficult to do. But the other part about Millions that I think is absolutely awesome is that they have another part here where they have the quarterly prizes. And the quarterly prizes means even if you get off to a slow start and your first 4 or 5 week stretch, you're under 500, there's no hope of winning a regular season title or maybe even getting into the money outside of being incredibly hot, is you can still qualify and win these quarterly prizes that they have and maybe have a great month of October. And suddenly you're in the mix for that one. I love that component. Plus, they have the booby prizes. If you're really bad, you go 0-5 your first week, you can play the other direction and win one of the booby prizes that are out there. So that's great. But the big one, of course, is the guarantee that is there for Circa Survivor. I think most everybody listening knows what a Survivor contest looks like. What a Survivor contest is just a chance for you, an opportunity to pick a game. Teams just got to win each and every week. And if that plays out, that's what you get. Got a phone call here on the line, and potentially it's Spencer McLaughlin. We're going to see as I am working solo here today, so don't have a chance to pick up the phone. We're just going to see who dialed into line 10 and who we have. Spencer, is that you, or is this a surprise phone call?
This is Spencer from Bend, Oregon. Indeed.
What is
my bad.
up? Well, I mean, what's going out there in Oregon? I mean, when I think of Oregon, I think of duck football. I think of, I don't know, pot smokers. I can't think of what else I really think about. So what do you got? What's the excuse?
Somehow the CarPlay in the car I was driving, which is not my car, put my phone on Do Not Disturb automatically, and I blame that entirely.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because it was going directly to voicemail. I'm like, oh, this is odd.
Yeah.
So what? You steal a car? What are you driving a different car? What's going on?
No, I live in Oregon from May to August, and so that car is not one, and it's actually a newer car that our family bought, and we're still figuring out all the little kinks and nuances of having it, and one of them is that it can automatically put your phone on Do Not Disturb, but only sometimes.
Only sometimes. Great. Just what you want. Love technology. Well, we're trying to figure out what the college football playoff is going to look like. And as the Big Ten meetings are happening in LA, we get a little bit from Tony Batiti. Tony Batiti, you running Locked On Ducks and obviously growing up an Oregon fan. What do you think of him just overall as a commissioner?
Well, do you want me to put on my neutral arbiter of college football hat? Or
no, I want your hot
college
take
football fan hat.
Yes, that hat. The second one.
I don't think Tony Batiti has the best interests of college football at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think that his priority is for the Big Ten to maximize their involvement in the playoff. And if you look at it through that lens, sure, that makes it a good thing for the league because that means more money and that means you can be more competitive and such. I really, and had someone mention this to me the other day, I don't think there's anything about Tony Batiti that the average college football fan should be encouraged by. There's nothing about his actions, his maneuvers, his stated desires and goals. For those that care about the regular season, for those that want to see a 64 team playoff one day, a la the NCAA tournament. Oh wait, that's at 76. So why don't we put that out there? For those who want to see the 76 team college football playoff, Tony Batiti is probably your guy. For the rest of us that want there to be a playoff-like atmosphere every single week in various stadiums across the country in the sport, Tony Batiti is not the guy. So a very effective commissioner, obviously, because, he first threw out this Big Ten laden 2014 playoff at Media Days last year, Trent, and I know you were there in Las Vegas. And, at the time, we all treated it with the ridiculousness that it should be treated with. And so the fact that we're now at a point where the Big 12 and the ACC and Notre Dame are all on board with a 2014 playoff, I think screams to me that he has been a puppet master behind the scenes to orchestrate this in a way that he sees as being fit for him and his league and probably the financial interests of both of those entities and not the actual well-being of college football.
Spencer McLaughlin joining us, Locked On College Football host. Spencer, the 2014 playoff, the part that I look about it, and I think we all get selfish from times. We can't all be self-proclaimed neutral arbiter of all things college football. We all have our biases. We all have that.
Yeah.
I've heard the pushback. The Alabama LSU game in the early November is not going to be the same. That Ohio State Michigan's not going to matter because both teams are going to be in the playoff regardless. I think that's asinine. Rivalries are what make college football what it is. But the other part is it's not just about those top tier games where suddenly there could be an Arkansas Missouri game that's played on Black Friday that matters. Iowa Nebraska that matters. A November matchup with Minnesota facing off against Illinois, and both these teams have a path to the college football playoff. Maybe there could be some kind of dissipation from the elite games, the heavyweight games, because there's not as much on the line. But what I argue is there's so many other of those mid-tier games that are going to be more important and going to matter more nationwide, that's going to help college football.
Yeah, we have a different perspective on that matter. And I understand where you're coming from, and there is some truth to that. I am not interested in magnifying the importance of games played between teams who are not going to be serious contenders for a national championship. That's not what I believe has made college football great. And that's not to say that, BCS level exclusivity was the right formula long term. to generate the best product for fans. What I do believe is that 24 goes way, way beyond. I think 12 is too many, Trent. I really do. I think that what has made college football unique over the years, and we're obviously losing this, is your results from the prior season all used to matter. And a season that came about, and the portal has changed this a bit as well, but a season that came about to be a special, remember where you were when you watched this and how it felt to see these games, and a special year for a team that's maybe a non-traditional brand. It was preceded by several years of playing in bowl games that did matter because we looked at them for what they used to be, and now we've deemed them something else. They don't have to be, but they are. And that was a building block, a stepping stone, and a part of the journey. And so now we've decided, no, your season is only a success if you make the playoff. Everything else is a failure. Everything else is not worth anyone's time. You should opt out of those games. They mean nothing. They're meaningless bowl games and all of this nonsense that gets uttered a lot. I don't agree with that perspective for the sport. And look, I don't like 12, just to be clear. I still love college football. I don't like 12. I think it's too many. But 12 has not been as bad as I thought it might be. There is still more leeway than I would like. And the best example of that is 2024 Ohio State. Trent, we should still be sitting here talking about how Ryan Day doesn't have a national championship.
Yeah.
We should be. And this is not me. I don't have some grudge against Ryan Day or anything. I'm just saying that Michigan upset, the importance of it, because we expanded the playoff, was limited to its regional matchup. And it's great that that rivalry, for now, still carries so much weight and so much importance. But for it to have lost the effect of knocking the Buckeyes out of the playoff picture is just one of several examples of what I'm talking about, that we are fundamentally, piece by piece, every time we expand the playoff, altering how it feels to watch college football and making it more like the NFL, where wins and losses matter, but you never feel like one or two losses is going to destroy your season. And in the NFL, 9 and 8 teams make the playoff. Who cares? Who cares? When you lose one of those games, it's not as impactful. And so that's what has made college football unique, and I hate that we're getting away from that. A 2014 playoff that is Tony Petitti's brainchild is making it worse for people that watch the game that way.
12 teams at least for another year for 2026, and we will see from there as the Big Ten meetings continue in LA. Spencer McLaughlin joining us, Locked On College Football. Spencer, from there, I did want to get your perspective on Brendan Sorsby. Something that just broke here within the last 10 minutes or so. It looks like that the Texas Tech grad judge that was going to hear the case, he has recused himself. And so it will be somebody different there on the chair on that one. He's got lawyered up. He's ready to go on that front. But this one is a little delicate, as you can imagine, here in our state after Iowa and Iowa State got involved in the local prosecution that was happening in the state of Iowa with that and the illegal work that they were doing on that front. But that aside, a little bit different here, I'm sure, that it is nationwide. Still, this feels like a joke. You can't let Brendan Sorsby play.
The rules are written very clearly that he should not be able to play. And it does seem, based on the data we've gotten, this is not, a one-time deal. And I think both personally and professionally, him going to rehab is the right thing to do. And I hope that it doesn't ruin his life. I don't think that's what the punishment should be here. I do think you have to set a very clear boundary with all this sort of stuff, that you cannot allow it or tolerate it anywhere. I wish Major League Baseball felt the same way about the Houston Astros back in the day, but that's a different conversation. And I don't see a way that he plays. I don't think he should be able to, because if you write a rule and then it gets violated, but he's a really important player. he's going to be a part of a national championship contending team. Yet that's not how rules are supposed to work. They need to be applied to everyone. They applied to Hunter Deckers. They should apply to Brendan Sorsby. I did not know, and talked about on my show today, the horrific optics that you go through with a Texas Tech alum deciding whether their $5 million portal quarterback gets to play this fall. Based on the rules that I have seen, he should not be allowed to play. And I think that's a learning opportunity for other people that might consider doing the same thing and making the same mistake. I think you have to set a very, someone's got to be the parent at some point. A parent is a parent, not a friend. And at some point you have to come in and say, no, you're not doing this. And this is the rule. And that rule is clearly broken.
Last thing, Spencer McLaughlin with us here. Spencer, for you is our state. We bring it back here to the state of Iowa. Jamie Pollard getting a lot of national run after his conversation Monday here in Des Moines, talking about the SEC and the Big Ten. Let them break away. Go do it. Calling the bluff of the SEC and the Big Ten. Your takeaway.
Nobody wants that. It sounds great in a little audio clip. It benefits nobody. Don't tempt them. You can bemoan the fact that they've got more power and money and it's harder to compete with them on the field. All of that is perfectly fair if you're a Big 12 person. But I don't want to test the waters on that. I don't want to see how far everyone's willing to go down the road of potentially breaking. No, that would be terrible. TCU's run to the national championship game just never happens. We never get to see, Cincinnati making the playoff and getting their chance against Alabama when they got in as an undefeated team. I don't know why you would in any way, jokingly or not, encourage that or say, yeah, go ahead, go for it. That's not a good outcome for anybody. It's not good for SEC fans if that happens. It's not good for Big 12 fans. It's not good if you fracture the sport. There needs to be a coming together on these sorts of matters, not a breaking apart. Nobody wants a Super League, but we might be heading there one day. I think that especially at a school like Iowa State, I don't think that you should be trying to tempt fate there.
Spencer McLaughlin, thank you, Spencer. Appreciate it. Thanks for picking up the phone. Get that new car figured out, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Appreciate it, Trent.
No worries. Spencer McLaughlin joining us here. Locked on College Football, a daily look around all things college football, as you can find him each and every day. We take our final timeout, come back on the other side. My picks of the day presented by Circus Sports. They're next. It's Miller and Condon on the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
This June, the Legends of Golf return to Des Moines. The 2026 Principal Charity Classic at Wakanda Club, June 10th through 14th, where legends of the game compete and every swing helps support Iowa youth. Bring the whole family. Tickets start at just $25 and kids 15 and under get in free. Get your tickets now at principalcharityclassic.com. The Principal Charity Classic, because out here, it's more than golf.
Are you looking to upgrade your curb appeal? TNT Landscaping and Nursery is your trusted partner of more than 35 years in Ankeny and the Metro for all your landscaping needs. Browse 5 full acres of trees, plants, and shrubs, their huge nursery selection, and all the landscaping hard goods to get the project done. Hawkeyes Barbecue, also there, and it's a griller's paradise. Visit TNTlandscaping.com for details or stop in at 1313 Southwest Ordnance Road in Ankeny. Tell them Heather sent you in.
At Thrasher Foundation Repair, we promise you an experience so remarkable, you'll want to leave us a 5-star review. From wet basements to bowing walls, sinking concrete to nasty crawl spaces, whatever your home's facing, you can count on Thrasher to fix it right. With over 34,000 5-star reviews and 50 years as a local family-owned company, Thrasher is a name homeowners trust. Schedule your free home inspection today at gothrasher.com.
Thrasher.
At Kia of Des Moines, it's been 1 year since the unveiling of our new state-of-the-art showroom. So we're celebrating all month long. It's our anniversary sale, and you get the gift. Shop and save on all of your favorite new Kias with financing as low as 0.9% for 60 months. Don't miss the anniversary sale going on now at Kia of Des Moines. Shop KiaDM.com. With approved credit for well-qualified buyers. Valid on new 2026 Kia Sportage models. $1,705 per thousand finance monthly. Must finance through KMF. Expires 6/1/26.
If you're thinking of incorporating or setting up an Iowa LLC, zoom right past LegalZoom and work with Rush Niggett, a Brick Gentry PC. He's set up an affordable online small business package that helps you decide whether to form a limited liability company, LLC, or a corporation. With Rush Niggett's help, it's easy to form your new small business. Rush Niggett, a business lawyer with Brick Gentry Law PC. Go to rushonbusiness.com. It's good to have Rush on your side.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text EDGE to 321-321 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text EDGE to 321-321. That's EDGE to 321-321.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter. Get in on the action with the world's largest sports book, right at your fingertips. Circa Sports Iowa is where the pros play. Enjoy the highest limits, lowest takeouts, and competitive betting menus. Download, fun, and bet from anywhere in Iowa. Circa Sports Iowa. Sports betting the way it should be. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com. Must be over 21 and present in Iowa to bet. Have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
You're listening to Miller and Condon. Off the Fence with Sean Roberts and Lucas Strain is on deck here on 106.3 KXNO and the Iowa Sports Radio Network.
Trent Condon back with you, putting a cap on things here on a Wednesday. Miller and Condon, Iowa Sports Radio Network with our flagship 106.3 KXNO. Time now for my picks of the day. They're brought to you each and every day by Circa Sports. Yesterday, not very good, went 3-4. That is not a winning day, but I have to lament a little bit. I picked one game straight up against the spread. Had the Cavs last night plus 7.5. Felt great. Felt great all the way to the end. And then overtime comes and the Knicks win it by 11. Well, you know what? I also got the under in that game. Feeling good, about 100 points for each side. We go to overtime. I know that I'm cooked. So very quickly, that 3-4 easily could have been a 5-2, and we'd be having a different conversation. 3-2 at our props yesterday, including Alvarado, Mizraski, and Cease. Today, we got a 6-pack for you. 2 money line bets, both of them in Major League Baseball. Give me the Blue Jays plus 150 as they face off against the Yankees tonight. Good pitching matchup there with a couple of youngsters with Schlitter and Savage. In fact, we'll get to one of those guys here momentarily. Give me the Cardinals also tonight. McKeever on the bump for them. Props, 3 pitching props, all 2 pitching props, both strikeouts. We're going to go Jack Leiter under 5.5 strikeouts in the matchup against Colorado coming up here later this afternoon, and Schlitter over 5.5 strikeouts against the aforementioned Blue Jays. 6:05 the first pitch in that one. To the NBA, 2 choices for you there. I'm going with the Thunder in a big bounce back. We'll lay the 7.5 this evening for OKC after game number 1. What a game it was. And there's no way that we can relive what we saw. 7.5 the number. Give me the Thunder in game 1. And then we're going to go over 3.5 strikeouts for Dylan Harper. Just been so impressed by this youngster and what he's been able to do with the Spurs. Over 3.5 assists for him. 6 bets overall. Blue Jays, Cardinals, Leiter under strikeouts, Schlitter over strikeouts, Harper over 3.5 assists, and the Thunder. There it is. 6 choices for you today presented by Circa Sports. Again, if you missed it, Circa has come out a $30 million guarantee for the football contest this year. You got Millions, you got Survivor, you got Grandissimo. You got just an extra $100,000 laying around. Yeah, didn't think so. That'll do it for today. We'll be back with you tomorrow here on Miller and Condon. Ken will be back with us. We'll talk to you at noon.